If physical matter if reality is subjective, and subjective to the extent that our perception equals reality, then therefore the matter that is inside the reality that I perceive is in fact a reality of my own choosing. So all matter is not created equal. Matter only does and behaves in the manner in which I perceive it to happen, or I allow it to happen as such. So that means that physical matter is also subjective. Why does this matter? Because if physical matter is subjective, then all atoms are equal. And on an atomic level, any amalgamation of atoms, any being, any structure, any element, any flora, fauna, mammal, reptile, are just all atomic matter is equivalent. So the atomic matter from a lizard is the same as the atomic matter from a tree. So I should be able to take a tree branch and attach it to a lizard, and because matter is equal, that lizard should be able to use that tree branch as an appendage. That may sound silly, but if you accept the premise that reality is subjective, you're also saying that all matter is subjective, and you're saying that atomic amalgamations are subjective, and they're subjective to our individual perceptions, that there is no ontological structure to which we observe. We observe what our brain tells us to observe, and if we observe what our brain tells us to observe, then there is nothing in our observation that is, quote, true. There is no such thing as truth. There's no such thing as truth. There's no such thing as love, justice, music, beauty. So the ideas of subjectivity, the ideas of perception as reality, actually shade the entirety of existence. And you'd better be damn sure that this is true, because if you just whimsically say, oh, I think that this is all reality is subjective, and you say that because there's a piece of objective reality that you don't like, or there's some part of the universe that you think is mean and cruel and unjust, and you're going to undo the injustice of the entire universe by saying all matter is subjective to my perceptions. I will remake the world in my image. Be very careful, because remember, your perceptions, your language, your consciousness is extremely limited. In the course of the existence of the universe, as science has told us, is quite possibly around 14 billion years old. You have been alive and conscious for about, 10 to the 10 to the quintillionth of existence. That's like you've existed so much. And for us with hubris to say that, yeah, reality bends to my perception, I think it's a very dangerous statement, because what happens is it actually goes out through our lives and we treat others as expendable matter under the jurisdiction and edicts of our perception, which means that compassion and empathy are weaponized, pity is weaponized, and we hold others in a tyrannical reign of what we perceive to be justice. We don't try to find out what justice is. We impose justice on our subjective justice, on the subjective realities of others. It's an untenable situation. It's completely untenable. And it's not only is it untenable, but it's logically invalid. There's no way for this possibly to be true. There's no way for you to control or dictate what reality is. Considering, in order for you to be here and to think about what you're thinking about, to think you know what you think you know, reality had to exist before you, and reality is going to exist after you. If that's the case, then reality cannot be merely a projection of your perception. And once you begin to grasp this, you begin to realize that there are laws and precepts that are ontologically true, whether I like them or not. And that changes the way you see the world, and that will change how you interact with the world, and that will change how you have relationship with others around you. They are not merely a figment of your imagination, your playthings to say who lives and who dies in godlike fashion, who's right and who's wrong, where there's justice and where there's injustice. Rather, you have to discover those things through the course of experience in life inside of an ontological, objective world, objective reality. You have to find out how you fit in, how the world actually operates, how laws of logic and grammar and physics actually work, so that you could understand the best course forward. And that takes humility to know that this world does not bend to our whims. And then once you begin to look and you say, wow, this world existed before me, exists now, and exists after me. And you start to think, how could such a world exist? And then you might begin to think even of an intelligent designer, a planner, a computer programmer, someone who made something like this work. Once you begin to understand the eccentricities and the idiosyncrasies and the complexity of how such a world could exist, and how our minds could never create a world, because there are things going on underneath, inside the matrix, if you will, that there's no way we can possibly even perceive. It takes a lot of humility to come to that conclusion, but it will change the way you behave, because you will see other people and you will know that you did not create them, that you had nothing to do with their existence. Your job is to treat them as what we understand that they are. They are a conscious being inside an impossibly complex world. And they're trying to figure it out just like you are. And that brings true empathy.